I don't know that I've explicitly mentioned it to you guys or not, but I've been wanting to do the rear diff bushings and the mustache bar bushings and all of that stuff on the car for a while now. And I think it's probably time that we take that job on. The bushings are not terrible, but I can definitely feel that there's a little bit of play in them. And overall, I think the rear end bushings could just use an overall refresh. And on top of that, I do have a spare subframe that is partially polished that I'm hoping to get swapped out while I'm doing this entire job. And in my head, there's really no better time to do it than right now while the rear bumpers pull off. I've got more light, more spaced. I don't have to worry about scratching the bumper or anything like that. Removing the rear subframe is a bigger job, but while I'm under there looking at it, it doesn't look too crazy. And that's exactly what we're gonna get into right now. What I'm going to do while we've got the rear bumper off of the car, doing the license plate light bracket, we're gonna go ahead and start dropping the rear subframe. My goal is to get it done today. So right now it is 4:40 p.m. My goal is to get it done today and at least get the rear subframe dropped. That way I can pull all of the control arms and get those new bushings pushed in. I am gonna have to drain the rear diff fluid, so I'm gonna get that drained and I'm going to have to order that Diaqueen OEM rear differential fluid. But aside from that, the car should only be down for about a week or so, which is perfectly fine. Like I said, there's nothing that I need the car for right now, and we're in a prime spot to go ahead and get that done. So this is by no means an instructional video or a how-to or anything like that, but I am gonna set you guys up and try to bring you along while I'm doing it. That way you can see what goes into it. Let's do it. All right, this is where we stand, you guys. I've got both of the axles out. I'm a little bit upset because I messed up the threads a little bit on the the passenger side axle. I'm probably going to have to replace that passenger side rear axle because I flared the end of it. Beyond being able to get the axle nut back on there, but that's a later me problem. We've got the drive shaft disconnected from the differential. The diff is drained. We've got almost all of the subframe bolts loose. Right now, I'm gonna get a jack underneath the car and remove all of the bolts and hopefully lower all of the subframe down to the ground, finally. Here we are, you guys. We finally got the rear diff and rear subframe out. For context, the main reason that we pulled this entire assembly was easier access to this mustache bar. These are the key culprits that I'm looking to replace, these bushings here. But while we're at it, we're also going to replace pretty much all of the bushings back here. I've got an entire set that we're going to spend the next couple of days getting pressed in and pressed out, and hopefully the overall ride quality and drivetrain play will be significantly better. This is a crazy sight to see, you guys. The time now, it's 7:10 p.m. I forget what time it was when I told you guys that the last time check, but yeah, this is pretty crazy. Just earlier we had a subframe in the car and now we don't. Right now we've got some of the control arms, the rear diff bushings, and the boxes slash buckets. We're going to take these to get hydraulic pressed in and out. That way we can get it out of the way. I was able to source a couple of axles as well. The ones that I banged out of the spindle are toast, so hopefully we can get those relatively soon. Now we're just going to go ahead and take care of these arms and mustache bar. Here we are the next day. As you guys can see, we've got the mustache bar and the diff mount bracket repainted. Right now they're in a flat black, but I do have some 2K clear, which is actually a 2-part clear coat that has hardener in it. Comes in a can. I plan on clear coating these, that way they'll hold up a little bit better to the test of time. Next on the list is getting this differential painted. So we've got everything taped off here. I was able to wire brush it and knock a lot of the, I guess, extra debris and surface rust off of it. We've got the openings here taped off. I'm not really too concerned about the paint because it's thinner than powder coat, so we shouldn't have too many issues with getting it in places where we don't want it. I'm gonna get some primer on this, let it cure, and then after the primer is nice and dry, we'll see about actually getting this painted. primer laid on the diff here, and I'm pretty excited, you guys. So the overall goal with what I'm doing underneath of the car, this is not, for context, this is not a full-on restoration. My goal is to kind of capitalize on having this car apart and do some things underneath of the car that overall will attract to the presentability of the car. So I know that painting this differential is not going to be the same as powder coating it, but the reality is I think under this application the paint is going to hold up just fine, especially with the clear coat that I plan on using. I'm not in the business of trying to fix things that aren't broke. The more correct way to do this differential would have been to pull the case on it, completely gut it, sandblast it, powder coat it, and then assemble it all together. But the reality is I don't want to pull this entire differential apart. It has no issues, and I don't want to create any issues by pulling it apart. So this is what we're doing. It's going to look 10 times better. And I'm also contemplating redoing the undercoating underneath of here. I am super on the fence, but like, to me, this just does not look good. And I'm thinking about redoing the complete underside of here, at least probably from the gas tank back. Like I said, I'm still on the fence about it. By the time you guys get done watching this video or series, depending on what I decide to make it, you'll know. But I'm thinking now might be the best time to do this because I don't really plan on pulling this entire thing out for a while, and I think it could benefit from being redone. So stay tuned to see how that goes.